Welcome to today's deep dive. I am your host, and today we are asking a pretty wild question.
Hi, everyone. I am the resident expert here.
Hmm?
And yeah, wild is definitely the right word for this one.
Right, because what if the foundation of Chinese culture isn't what we've always been told? Like, what if it isn't Confucianism?
Uh,
What if it isn't Buddhism or even Taoism? What if the absolute core of this ancient civilization is something entirely different?
and what if the key to actually understanding it is hidden in, of all things, a game of Mahjong?
Exactly. It sounds bizarre, but today we are looking at a remarkably provocative 2007 essay by an author named Feng. It's titled Mahjong, Hundun, and Chinese Culture.
Yeah, and we are going to explore the author's central claim that something called Hundun is the true hidden root of Chinese thought.
And, we're going to examine what this highly unusual worldview means for how you, the listener, might be living your life right now, because it really shifts your whole perspective.
It absolutely does. But to dive into this properly, we have to immediately strip away our standard Western baggage around that word Hundun.
Right, because it's usually translated into English as chaos, isn't it?
Exactly. And when we hear the word chaos, we automatically picture utter disorder, randomness, just a total mess.
Yeah, like it's falling apart.
But in this specific essay, Swiffen uses Hundun to describe the ultimate order of the greatest creator. It's a conceptual framework where the universe only seems intricate and messy on the surface.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, beneath that surface, it is perfectly unified, meticulously structured, and, deeply ordered.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand this hidden, perfectly ordered Hundun, the source text insists we cannot start with Confucius or Laozi.
Right, we have to go way back.
Way, way back to the mythological and cultural ancestor of the Chinese nation, a figure named Fuxi.
Fuxi is the true origin point in this author's historical tracing. Fuxi is credited with bringing forth two massive cultural contributions.
And those are the Hetu Luoshu,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, the Hitu Luoshu and the Bagua, which is also known as the 8 trigrams. The essay argues that basically every profound element we recognize as traditional Chinese culture flowed directly from these original concepts.
Wait, like everything?
Pretty much.
Hmm?
We are talking about Taiji, the I Ching or Book of Changes, Feng Shui, the astrological system of Bazi,
Wow.
even the meridian and acupuncture systems in traditional Chinese medicine. All of it.
Let's pause there, because for anyone who isn't steeped in ancient Chinese philosophy, that sounds like a very dense list of esoteric terms.
It is a lot, yeah.
What actually are the Hetu Luoshu and the Bagua? Are they like books or maps? How do they act as the blueprint for everything else?
Think of them as primordial cosmic maps. The Hetu Luoshu translates roughly to the Yellow River map and the Low River writing.
Okay.
According to legend, these were mystical patterns of dots and numbers revealed on the backs of mythical creatures.
That's fascinating.
And the Bagua, or 8 trigrams, is a system of broken and unbroken lines representing fundamental forces of nature. Like heaven, earth, water, fire, wind.
Right.
The author's saying these weren't just primitive superstitions. They were a highly advanced mathematical modeling of the universe's underlying source code.
So they are literal representations of the Hundun state.
Exactly. So when someone practices Feng Shui to arrange their living space, or an acupuncturist targets a meridian, they are essentially just applying the formulas derived from Fuxi's original blueprint.
Applying the blueprint of this hidden cosmic order.
You got it.
That makes so much more sense. The essay describes this blueprint, this Hundun, essentially as a holographic universe.
Yes.
Now, the way I picture this is like a mathematical fractal. If you've ever seen a fractal, it's a shape where if you zoom in on one tiny microscopic piece of it.
It looks exactly like the whole thing.
Exactly. That tiny piece contains the exact same intricate pattern as the entire massive shape. The whole is in the part, and the part is in the whole.
The author actually says Hundun is vast enough to encompass everything, yet small enough to exclude nothing.
The fractal is such a useful way to visualize the mechanism at play here.
It really is, because in a holographic or fractal universe, absolutely nothing exists independently. Like, no phenomenon occurs in isolation.
Every single object, every event, every thought has a Hundunic connection to the whole.
Yeah, and the author uses a few vivid examples to illustrate how this interconnectedness actually functions. They mention the classic chaos theory metaphor. that an Alaskan butterfly flapping its wings could trigger a storm at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa.
The butterfly effect. It's a familiar concept, but the author takes that interconnectedness to an entirely different, almost alarming level, don't they?
Oh, they absolutely do. The text claims that an Inuit person coughing in the Arctic could cause someone in Australia to fall from a building.
Wait, really? A cough?
Literally just a cough. It forces us to visualize these invisible threads of energy and consequence binding everything together.
Okay, so a cough alters the local air pressure.
Yes, which subtly shifts an atmospheric current.
Oh, I see. And then that interacts with a global weather pattern.
Right, which changes the wind speed halfway across the globe just as a person steps near a ledge. It is a vast, unseen architecture of cause and effect.
That is mind-bending. But, I mean, if every single action ripples through this invisible architecture, then our standard way of navigating the world seems totally inadequate.
It really does.
Which is probably why the author actually ranks human thought systems based on how close they get to this underlying truth. It literally builds a hierarchy of philosophies.
And this hierarchy is where the essay challenges a lot of deeply held cultural assumptions. At the very bottom of this intellectual ladder, the author places Confucianism.
Right, Confucianism.
Yeah, labeling it as mere materialistic thinking.
The absolute bedrock of Chinese social ethics and historical governance is placed at the bottom. Why? What makes it low level in this framework?
Well, because Confucianism is intensely focused on rigid external rules. It is about strict social hierarchy, filial piety, proper rituals, and, observable forms.
Right.
In the author's view, the moment you try to lock the universe into concrete materialistic rules, you block out the fractal.
Oh, wow. You stop seeing the vast, interconnected Hundun because you are too busy staring at the man-made boundaries you've drawn on the ground.
Exactly. You miss the forest for the trees.
So as we move up this ladder, the philosophies should theoretically become less rigid and more fluid.
That is the pattern. Moving up, the author says Taoist thinking is a step higher, aligning with Taiji thinking.
Which acknowledges the fluid balance of opposites, like yin and yang.
Right. And above that is Buddhist thinking, which they call formless thinking, because it actively encourages detachment from physical reality.
Okay, that makes sense. Where does science fit into all this?
Interestingly, the author categorizes Western science and technology around this middle tier as well, calling it image-based and associative thinking.
It even takes aim at modern spirituality, right?
Oh, yeah. The author dismisses New Age thinking entirely. They cite specific popular spiritual texts like Conversations with God, The Law of One, Seth's Teachings, and A Course in Miracles.
And lumps them all into a category called illusory thinking.
Yes. And sitting at the very top, the ultimate, most profound level of human cognition is Hundunic thinking.
The peak of the hierarchy.
Exactly. The ability to perceive and align with the meticulous, interconnected order of the greatest creator without relying on the crutch of materialistic rules or illusory spiritual escapes.
I have to challenge this setup because for you, the listener who likely loves gathering knowledge, studying science, reading philosophy, figuring out how the world works, it is incredibly jarring to hear Western science and revered ethical systems placed so low on the intellectual ladder.
It definitely goes against everything we're taught.
Right. We spend our lives trying to accumulate facts and master logic. So how does an ordinary person even begin to grasp this highest level of Hundunic thought if our standard everyday logic is considered a low-level hindrance?
Well, the author provides a very specific roadmap for that. The text introduces 4 keys to approaching and understanding Hundun culture.
Okay, what are the keys?
The first 3 are quite esoteric. There's revelation, which the author describes as a direct, intuitive dialogue with the greatest creator.
Got it.
There is the Bagua, which we discussed earlier as the cosmic blueprint, and there is the historical figure Huzi, an ancient teacher who supposedly mastered the application of these principles in daily life.
Okay, but those first 3 are pretty abstract.
They are. But the 4th key is where the theory becomes tangible.
And this 4th key is the entire reason we are doing this deep dive.
What's fascinating here is that the author claims the 4th key to unlocking the deepest mysteries of the holographic universe is the game of Mahjong.
Yes. I was looking at the math the author lays out for Mahjong, and it is staggering.
It really is.
A standard set has 136 tiles. You've got your winds, like east, south, west, north. Your dragons, center, Fao, white. 4 of each of those. Then the suited tiles, Tiao, Bing, and Wan, numbered 1 through 9, 4 of each. The author points out that the possible permutations of these 136 tiles are an astronomical number.
It's hard to even wrap your head around.
You could play Mahjong every single day for an entire lifetime, and you would never, ever encounter the exact same combination of tiles twice.
Never. And from the outside, looking at those tiles shuffling on a table, it looks like a labyrinth of pure, unadulterated chance.
It looks like chaos.
It does. But remember, our definition Hundun is not random. It is meticulous order that leaves absolutely no loopholes.
Right.
What we perceive as randomness at the Mahjong table is, in fact, structured and inevitable. The author applies this directly to the concept of luck, which players refer to as shouki, or hand luck.
Now, anyone who plays games of chance talks about having good or bad luck on a given night, but the author defines shoki in a very specific, almost biological way.
Very biological.
The text claims your luck in the game is dictated entirely by your physical and energetic adherence to this cosmic order.
Yes.
The author argues that if you sit down to play and you are sleep-deprived or in poor health or, and this is wildly specific, if you have had sexual activity within the last 24 hours, your shauki will be poor and you will lose.
Unless, of course, the other three players are in worse condition than you.
Right, unless they're even more depleted. Even the physical direction you face at the table dictates the outcome.
It sounds unbelievable.
It does. I need you to break down the actual physics of this claim for me because I have to push back here. How does that actually work mechanically?
What?
Does the universe physically reorder the plastic tiles while my hands are shuffling them just because I didn't get 8 hours of sleep? I mean, that sounds like pure magic.
It is essential to look at this through the lens of that fractal we discussed. It's not that a magical hand comes down from the sky and manually swaps the tiles.
Okay, so what is happening?
The author is suggesting a deep, unseen energetic resonance. If the universe is a holographic web, your internal energetic state is a crucial node in that web.
I'm with you.
When you're severely depleted from lack of sleep, illness, or sexual exertion, your personal frequency falls out of sync with the optimal flow of the Hundun order.
So it alters your behavior, not the tiles themselves.
Precisely. Because you are out of alignment, you unconsciously make the wrong micro-choices.
Like what?
Like, you sit in a chair facing a direction that clashes with the current elemental alignment. You shuffle the tiles with slightly different timing. You hesitate for a fraction of a second before drawing.
Oh, wow.
The astronomical combinations of the tiles don't break the laws of physics. Rather, you lose the intuitive ability to navigate that labyrinth of probabilities successfully. Your internal disorder manifests as external bad luck.
That is fascinating. But I mean, if this invisible physics governs a game of tiles, what happens when we step away from the table?
Well, the author isn't just trying to give us tips on how to win at game night.
Right. I assume Mahjong is just the microcosm.
Exactly. The author uses these exact same mechanics to explain frustrating, real-world social phenomena that completely defy our standard everyday logic.
I think everyone listening will recognize the social paradoxes the text brings up here. The essay asks, why do we so often see wealthy individuals or massively successful entrepreneurs who actually have very little formal education and don't seem to have a strong, disciplined work ethic?
Yeah, or why do politicians with visibly low intelligence or highly questionable morals get handed golden opportunities and rise smoothly to the top?
And conversely, why do so many well-educated, highly intelligent, kind-hearted, and incredibly hardworking people struggle so much?
It's the ultimate unfairness.
Why do they remain financially insecure or fail to secure positions of influence despite playing by all the rules of society?
If you're using Western logic or Confucian logic, it makes absolutely no sense.
None at all. The smart, hardworking, rule-following person should win the game of life. So how does Hundun explain this massive discrepancy?
The author provides a very direct answer, quoting an old phrase. Cleverness can be one's own undoing.
Cleverness is your undoing.
Yes. The secret to these paradoxes is that the clever person is trying to force the universe into a rigid box. The text cites this specific example, Mr. Zheng Baosheng.
Okay, who is he?
He was a renowned figure in China's field of special abilities. The author notes that Zhang Baoshen lacked formal education, but he succeeded brilliantly, specifically because his mind operated in a Hundunic state.
So how does a Hundunic mind actually operate practically to achieve that kind of success without education?
By not having rigid rules programmed into his head, his mind acted like a clear antenna. He didn't second-guess the intuitive pull of the universe.
Whereas the highly educated person overthinks everything.
Exactly. They analyze the data, they follow the Confucian rules of etiquette, they calculate the probabilities using low-level logic, and in doing so, they completely block the subtle underlying signal of the Hundun order.
So the uneducated entrepreneur, on the other hand, might just follow an inexplicable gut feeling that perfectly aligns with the unseen cosmic currents.
Right, and they effortlessly ride that wave to success.
I really want to emphasize what this means for you, the listener.
It's a huge shift.
It is. If your hobby is acquiring knowledge, if you are listening to this deep dive to learn something new, to get smarter, to figure out the rules of the world so you can optimize your career or your life, this essay is proposing a terrifying paradigm shift.
It really is, yeah.
The author is actively arguing that accumulating knowledge, understanding the logic of things, and strictly adhering to rules actually moves you further away from ultimate success.
The text is very explicit about this friction. The author states that the more concepts you fill your mind with, the further you stray from Hundun.
Wow.
Yeah, the more moral doctrines you embrace, the more knowledge you accumulate, the more you pursue rationality, the further away you get from the ultimate order of the greatest creator.
It is the paradox of seeking, isn't it? The harder you try to forcefully figure out the game, the more the universe guarantees you will lose it.
Exactly.
But if accumulating knowledge and adhering to rules moves us away from success, how in the world do we actually align ourselves with this cosmic order? Like, do we just stop thinking entirely?
Well, the author's proposed solution is a process of unlearning. It is a return to an unburdened, unfiltered state of being.
Okay.
And to prove this isn't just a niche theory, the essay synthesizes teachings from across multiple major spiritual traditions. It argues that all the great historical masters were basically pointing to this exact same mechanism of unlearning.
The text points to Laozi, the founder of Taoism, right? He famously said we must return to the state of a newborn baby.
Because a baby has zero concepts, zero rules, just pure observation.
That makes perfect sense in this context. And it also quotes Jesus Christ, who urged his followers to become like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yes, it brings in Zhang Senfeng, too, the legendary Taoist martial artist, who talked about reversing the ordinary.
What does that mean, reversing the ordinary?
He argued that following mundane rules keeps you trapped as a mortal. But reversing those rigid expectations is the path to becoming immortal.
Oh, wow.
And finally, it points to the Buddha, who taught his followers to detach from all forms and to let the mind dwell nowhere.
So the author brings all these distinct traditions together to demonstrate that the highest form of existing isn't about building up a massive, complex library of rules and data in your head.
Right, it's the opposite.
It's about systematically dismantling that library so you can finally perceive the holographic universe.
That is the core message, yes.
So what does this all mean? When we put the whole picture together, Fuxie's cosmic blueprints, the Mahjong probabilities bending to our internal energy, the uneducated rich man riding the invisible wave, the quotes from Buddha and Laozi about unlearning, what is the author's final objective in writing this?
The ultimate conclusion of the text is that the Tao of the greatest creator is, in fact, the Tao of Hundun. The author introduces an organization called Lifechanyuan, stating its dedication to reviving this specific, hidden essence of Chinese culture.
I see.
The text argues forcefully that the true root of Chinese civilization isn't a culture of strict materialistic rules or endless striving, but a culture of this profound, ordered interconnectedness. To truly understand the culture and the universe, you have to embrace Hundun.
Let's bring this all back home to you, the listener. We live in a modern world characterized by absolute, unrelenting information overload.
We really do.
We are constantly trying to optimize every single aspect of our lives. We download new productivity apps, we read books on habit building, we aggressively gather more data, more frameworks, and more cleverness so we can force our lives into a successful, upward trajectory.
We are desperately trying to control the Mahjong tiles of our lives by memorizing every possible combination.
Exactly. We rely entirely on what the author calls materialistic and associative thinking, while completely ignoring the underlying energetic order.
We're playing the wrong game.
And this deep dive offers a truly radical, alternative perspective to that exhausting grind. It suggests that maybe the ultimate intellectual achievement isn't knowing more facts. Maybe true wisdom is knowing how to let go of our rigid mental constructs, our obsessive rule following, and our desperate need for logical control, so we can finally just observe the hidden, meticulous order operating beneath all the noise.
It challenges us to consider that our constant, stressful striving might be the very thing blocking our shuki, throwing us out of alignment and causing us to lose the game.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. Think about that holographic fractal.
Just picture it.
If the universe truly is that deeply interconnected, and every small action ripples outward in ways we can't possibly calculate with our standard logic, what is one rigid rule or piece of cleverness you could drop today?
That's a great question.
If you stopped trying so hard to force an outcome with the sheer power of your intellect, what hidden Hundunic order might you suddenly see playing out right in front of you?